Hi everyone! It feels really weird to be sitting down here back in my bedroom filming another YouTube video because I've only been home for 2 weeks now. I got back from Peru 2 Sundays ago and it's just been so crazy since then, hence why I'm only sitting down to do this video now. But yeah, it feels good to be sitting and talking to my phone again. So yes, today's video is going to be about my experience volunteering with Plan My Gap Year that I did back in August now, which feels like so long ago. I can't believe I'm only filming this video now, but I really wanted to film this video because I know the company is growing quite a bit now, and I know that when I signed up to do the programme, it was really helpful to watch YouTube videos of people talking about the company, just so you know that it's kind of legit and that it's, you know, gonna be good and stuff. So yeah, this video is about Plan My Gap Year and how I found volunteering with them in Thailand and Bali. Okay, so on August the 16th of this year, I flew to Bangkok in Thailand to start my 2 weeks volunteering programme with Plan My Gap Year. So I decided to go with Plan My Gap Year as when I typed in volunteer programmes online, they were like the first company that showed up. So I clicked on them and I saw that they were a legit company and everything like that, which is always important to check when you are especially travelling by yourself. I know that it was a big concern for me whether the company was legit and stuff, because I didn't want to fly all the way to Thailand to find out that I had been scammed or something like that. So I made sure that the company was all legitimate and stuff like that. And yeah, I decided I wanted to go to Thailand because it's just always been a place that I've wanted to go to. And I wanted to do volunteering because I don't know, it's just something I've always wanted to do, and just being able to help people who are so much less fortunate than I am, especially children as well, because they just barely have anything in this world, and being able to help them was so rewarding for me. So yes, I first went to Thailand for 2 weeks, and then straight after Thailand, I volunteered in Bali for 2 weeks with Plan My Gap Year as well. And in Thailand I did the Teaching English volunteer programme, and in Bali I did the childcare programme. The Teaching English was really interesting. The children were so much more advanced with their knowledge of speaking English than I thought they would be. Especially the older ones, they could actually have quite a good conversation with you in English. It was quite difficult with the younger ones, but you do have your coordinator there with you, that if you need to kind of communicate with them in Thai or Indonesian, then there is the people there to help you. But yeah, it was so much fun teaching English to the kids. We would have to do lesson prepping, really kind of quick and easy, the night before, just kind of brainstorm topics that we wanted to go over with the kids, maybe like go on Pinterest and look up a few activities and stuff like that. But yeah, it's kind of basic things like colours, numbers, family members, things like that. Kind of easy things that you would teach people in England, but just at a lower level, because obviously they don't speak, fluent English. And yeah, that was so much fun. And again, as was the childcare programme in Bali, all the children were so amazing and so cute, and I just wanted to hug them all the time. They were so happy and smiley, it was incredible. I especially loved working with the babies because you got to just hold them all the time. It was so much fun. But yeah, I wanted to do 2 different programmes in each of the countries just because I wanted to find out which one I liked more, because I think partly for me doing the volunteering was also to help me find out maybe what I wanted to do in my later life, because I was considering maybe doing some kind of teaching or childhood education at uni in the upcoming years, so I wanted to see what it'd be like to work with children of different ages and things like that. But even if you aren't wanting to do volunteering to kind of help with uni or job or anything like that, it's still just such a rewarding thing to do, to be able to help people and to help the kids. It really is amazing to do. I just wanted to quickly talk about the prices of the programs themselves. So I did 2 weeks in each country. The Teaching English program in Thailand for 2 weeks was £290 with a £149 registration fee, and then for Bali it was £250 for 2 weeks, which honestly I think is such a good deal, especially with the things that you get included with them and all the accommodation and most of the food and everything like that, and transport and things like that. So I did think it was a really good price for the time I was there. I also know that Plan My Gap Year do like real world encounters, and also like in the separate countries they do, I think it's called like, the one in Thailand was called like the Real Thailand Experience or something like that, and you go around different places in Thailand. And I don't know if you do much volunteering in them, but it is a good way to see the country if you're more about travelling than doing the volunteering itself. So there is always that you can consider, and I know that they do different lengths of times and stuff like that. You can do however many weeks you want. When I was in Bali, there were some people there who were doing 3 months there, and I thought that was crazy. It's such a long time to be in one place, but I think they did enjoy it, but I think they wish they hadn't been there as long, or they wish they'd done different programs in the time. But when we were in Bali, they did say that if you were doing a long period of time, that you can always swap in between programs. You just have to talk to the coordinators there, and they're more than up for helping you with stuff. Even if you want to prolong your trip or anything like that, they are so helpful, and they make the time there so much less stressful for you. It's really great. They organise transport for you if you want to go explore things in the local area. Like we did after some of the programs in the evening, we would go to different places, and then they would book the transportation there, and it was so good because they would drive us there and then wait for us while we were at the place and then bring us back. It was really good. As was the coordinator in Thailand, Sapita. She was so lovely and so helpful. She was kind of like our big sister when we were all there. It was really lovely. And whilst I'm talking about prices, because the programs I was doing where I was working with children, and I think just in general you have to get a criminal background check done on you. With visas, I was only in each country for 2 weeks, so I didn't actually need to get a visa. I think in Thailand and Bali it's 28 days you can be in the country before you need to get a visa, so I really didn't need to get one at all. I would also say if you're doing 4 weeks, it's a 30-day visa you can have in Thailand and Bali. I know that a lot of people going there for 4 weeks, so they would be 28 days, which is just under. I would still recommend getting a visa, because if anything happens, like your flights are delayed or anything like that, and you are there for over 30 days, then the immigration won't be happy with you because you won't have a visa, and you'll need to then apply for one then. It'll just be really difficult, and I don't think they're too expensive. Again, I don't actually know because I didn't have to get one, because I was only there for 2 weeks in each. I would recommend looking up, like I said before, when's the most busy season, what the weather will be like, make sure that the country you're going to is relatively safe and there's nothing going on kind of politically that might affect you in the country or even environmentally. And then you just kind of go from there, and the company is so helpful, and any questions you have, any queries, they are more than happy to help you with. I know I sent them far too many emails about questions I had for them, and the handbooks are so helpful as well, so I would recommend reading all of them. They are quite long but really useful to read. I actually covered what vaccinations I had to get in my video about Japan that I can link below for you, but I would definitely recommend getting a typhoid vaccination and a rabies vaccination. You do have to pay for rabies vaccinations, but they are so important, because when I was in Thailand there were stray dogs everywhere, literally everywhere, and you know, whilst they might look friendly, they can be really dangerous, and it just takes, you know, one wrong move and then you could have rabies. So I would really recommend getting the rabies vaccinations. The airport transfer to the volunteer house from the airport is included, but in my 2 trips the return one to the airport wasn't. They weren't that expensive, but yeah, always something to bear in mind and make sure you have the money for at the end of the trip. Food. In Thailand, the food that was included was breakfast and dinner every weekday, and then you had to buy lunch and all your meals on the weekend yourself. And in Bali, every meal was included through the week, but you had to but if you were going to be at the volunteer house at the weekend, then you had to write your name down so they knew you were there, and then they would make the food for you. But a lot of people, including myself, didn't stay at the volunteer house on the weekends. We would go to different places in the country just to kind of see more of it, so we didn't need food when we were there anyway. At the times that I went to the countries, when I was in Thailand in August, there weren't that many other people there. I think altogether there were 6 of us volunteering, which actually turned out to be quite a nice amount because we all got on so well, so we could all go in like one car to like into Bangkok or places like that. So it was quite nice to have the small group of us. But in Bali, the volunteer house is absolutely massive, and I think it was mostly full when I was there. I know that like a couple of weeks before they were so busy, there were so many people there that they had to put people in the second volunteer house, and I know that a few of the people that had been in the second volunteer house said that it really wasn't as great as the main one. So I think if you're going to do one of these programs, you should kind of check when the most busiest times are and either plan it just before or just after, so there's still going to be a lot of people there, but not so many people that you have to be put in separate volunteer houses or things like that. In Thailand, the volunteer house was actually Sapida's family's house, so they had 2 bedrooms for the volunteers with quite a lot of bunk beds in, so I don't think there's ever too many people doing the volunteer program in Thailand, so I think you have to base that more around you and kind of like the time of year weather-wise that you want to go to. It was actually supposed to be rainy season when I was there, and I think it only rained a couple of times through the night. It never stopped us from doing anything or anything like that, and it was actually quite hot, and I wouldn't say sunny, it was quite cloudy most of the time we were there, but it was really hot. So I think that's most of the kind of pre-trip kind of things to go over. One more thing is currency. Make sure you know what the currency exchange is and what currency they actually use in the countries that you're going to. In Thailand it is Thai baht, and in Bali it's the Indonesian rupee, something like that. I actually have a currency converter app on my phone that doesn't require internet or anything, so you can just kind of type in how much something would cost. It's also very useful to know kind of how much £5 is, how much £10 is, just so if you're buying anything you know that it's kind of reasonable and things like that. In both Thailand and Bali everything was incredibly cheap. Literally lunch was the equivalent of like £1, and you know, stuff like that. It was so cheap, food was so cheap over there, so you really don't have to allocate too much. In total in the country I spent £178 in Thailand and £158 in Bali, and that's including the weekend trips that we did. The companies actually do run scheduled weekend trips that you just kind of pay for and you can turn up to, but the weekends that I was there, they weren't running these trips, so we kind of just organised our own in the little group that we were in. In Thailand we went to Krabi for the weekend. We stayed in a hostel which was £5 a night, I think. It was called Slumber Party Hostel. It was actually really cool. They did like organised kind of events. We did like a pub crawl with them on both nights, and then we did a boat trip around all the islands on the Saturday, which was so good, and they were really reasonable prices. They were so good. They included all the transportation, and you got like free drinks and free food included in the price and stuff. They were really good, and our return flights to Krabi were £66, and then food there is so cheap, it's so good. But yeah, I spent £178 in total in Thailand, and that's including all of the weekend trips, the lunches. I didn't really buy much over there just because I didn't really need to, but they do have a lot of kind of fake designer stores and stuff like that, so if you're into things like that, they have stuff like that. And then in Bali we went to Canggu and Seminyak, and we didn't need to fly there because it was so close, so we got the taxi, and then our accommodation, we rented out like a big villa because there were quite a lot of us, and it was like £20 each a night, which was so good. And then we kind of just went out in the night, so that's kind of where a lot of the money went, was kind of drinking and stuff like that. But I only spent £158 in total in Bali, so that's including all the weekend trips and stuff. And it also includes, we went to a few places in the evenings, like we got taxis to Tanalot Temple and nearby beaches and stuff like that, so yeah, it was really good. We also went to Ubud on the last weekend, and we didn't stay over anywhere, but we got the taxi there and we kind of went around the monkey sanctuary, and we went to a few temples and things like that. It was so amazing. I loved Ubud so much, it was so beautiful. But yeah, I think the amount I spent in each country was kind of an average amount. Well, actually I think it's quite low compared to quite a lot of other people. I know that some people spent like, I don't know how, but they spent like £600 in 1 week. I have no idea how they managed that, but yeah, I definitely didn't spend anything like that. You don't really need to unless you're kind of, yeah, I just don't really think you need to spend that at all. Like, most of your food is included, and then any food that's not included is so cheap anyway. I think it's more kind of how much you spend on the weekend trips, but if you kind of watch how much you spend, you really don't need to end up spending too much money. I actually used my debit card for most things, but I did also take some money out here in England and then exchanged it over in the country, just so I had some money in case my cards got cancelled or something like that. I do think that's a really useful thing to do. But yeah, just take out enough for what you would need kind of if your cards did stop working, so make sure you'd have enough of food and kind of like the return airport transfer and things like that, just in case, you know, things went south, like if your card stopped or got stolen or something like that. Also, I think, well, with the return airport transfers, you need the cash for that anyway. You can't pay with card, and a lot of the food places, they prefer cash to card anyway, just because it's so cheap. They really just don't like card. I was surprised with kind of the toilet situation and stuff. I really wasn't expecting Western toilets, but I'm very grateful that they were. In Thailand, you weren't actually allowed to put any toilet paper down the toilet, which was a very weird concept, and then you had to kind of put buckets of water down the toilet once you'd been. It was a strange concept and took a while to get used to, but you do just adjust to it all. So the actual volunteer work itself, in Thailand, the English teaching, we kind of got given this room, and kind of each class would come in. We did, I think it was 4 classes a day that were an hour each, and then we also had an hour of lunch in the middle. They range from year 1 to year 6, I think it was, and you get given the classes that you were going to have the next day the night before, so you can kind of plan how you want to cater each lesson to each class. And then you kind of over the time you do it, you get used to knowing kind of which classes are kind of a bit more advanced in their English and which ones need a bit more help, so you kind of need to lower the level that you're teaching them at. You really don't have to be a professional English teacher to volunteer over there. And then, yeah, it was so much fun to teach them. They were so happy all the time and so grateful for being able to have the opportunity of being taught English, because a lot of other kids really don't get that in Thailand. And yeah, they were all like high-fiving us. They love taking selfies on phones. They love that so much. You literally give them their phone and you will not see it for the rest of the class. And yeah, they loved hugging everybody. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely had my favourites. I know you shouldn't say that, but like there were like just a few of the girls that were just so lovely, and they would always come and hug me, and it was so lovely. And yeah, we stayed in the same school for the 2 weeks just because we kind of loved that school so much. I think some of the other girls told me that the ones that had been there longer, that they actually went to a few other schools each week. But when I was there, we stayed in the same school for 2 weeks, and it was so nice. They had like a sports day on the last couple of days we were there, and it was really nice to see. And in Bali, the childcare programs, we went to different places every day. We would do kind of the morning, and then we would have a couple of hours in the afternoon off back at the volunteer house, and then we would go back in the afternoon to a different place or the same place. And kind of the tasks you do there, it kind of varies at each place. At some of the places you kind of just sit and kind of play with the kids, which is really fun. They have like Lego and things like that, and you just kind of play with them. At some of the places in the afternoon you have to like wash and bathe them and get them dressed ready for when they go home later. And then at some of them you just kind of help the kids out and just kind of, yeah, it was mostly just kind of playing with them, and with the babies you just kind of like hold them and like obviously change them and stuff. Much fun. You just kind of get to help out and kind of become a kid again for 2 weeks, because you just get to play with all the like kids toys and stuff. It was really fun. And yeah, I loved the childcare programs. I think I did prefer the teaching out of the childcare, just because I kind of felt like I was doing more with the teaching. Not that like not playing with the kids isn't fun, but it's just kind of, it felt more kind of rewarding to do the teaching. And yeah, the teaching was just a lot more fun for me. But both of them were really amazing programs to do. Okay, so there are a few more things I wanted to touch on before we finish up the video. It's just kind of things you should kind of know before you go to, if you want to go to any of these countries. The first thing is health insurance is such a big thing. I would really recommend getting travel insurance. I think it's so important, and I know a lot of people don't get it. I talked about it in my Japan video. Things can go so wrong so quickly in a foreign country, and it's so important to know that you have the travel insurance, so that if anything went wrong you would be able to pay for medical bills. And I know that Plan My Gap Year do actually provide travel insurance. I think it's £16 a week. Obviously if you have something to declare, then you have to get a different kind of insurance like I had to. So mine was a lot more expensive, but if you don't, then £16 a week, that could potentially get you home if a natural disaster happened, or if you got hurt you would be able to go to the doctors and be able to afford it. It's really important. Another thing, mosquitoes. In Thailand I got so many bites. Please take mosquito spray. Whilst the windows do have nets in front of them and we tried to keep the door closed as much as possible, I think at one point I literally had 30 bites on each leg. No idea how. I was covering myself in spray, I had long trousers on, but I still managed to get bit that many times, and they were so itchy and so annoying. So yes, please take mosquito spray, because there are a lot of mosquitoes and they are the devil. Whilst we're on insects, when I was in Bali there were like 3 different bedbug outbreaks in the volunteer house. There was some the week before I got there, and then in the week I was there, a few of the rooms on the lower floors actually got infested with bed bugs, so they had to have all their room fumigated. They had to go through all their clothes, get anything washed that had been out, and they were covered in bites. There was this one girl whose arms was, oh my god, I thought she was having an allergic reaction. They were so bad, the bites. So yes, I don't know how often it happens there, but it happened quite a few times while I was there. Thankfully our room was untouched by the bed bugs, but yes, I know there's not a lot you can do to prevent bed bugs, but just make sure that when you're there you keep all your clothes in your suitcase. That's literally what I did. I kept everything in my suitcase and then just took things out as and when I needed them, because there were some people who just had stuff all over their rooms, and literally the bed bugs just got all over their stuff and they had to get everything washed. And whilst it wasn't too expensive, it's still a pain in the ass to get, you have to go and wash your stuff every 5 minutes. It's crazy. When I did take a suitcase rather than a rucksack, I actually emailed the company and asked them what they thought would be a better option, and they did say a suitcase, just because they kind of have like stackers that you kind of slide your suitcase on, and like I said with the bed bugs and stuff, a suitcase is easier to just kind of unzip, grab out what you need and then zip it back up again. So I would definitely recommend taking a suitcase. Another thing is the drivers over there. All of my taxi rides were very questionable, to say the least. There were a few times I thought I was gonna die, because they just drive like maniacs over there, honestly. It was crazy. I think my journey from Denpasar airport to the volunteer house in Bali, oh my god, the driver was driving on the other side of the road, he was cutting in between traffic, he was in the middle of the road at one point, he would like go to overtake every 5 seconds, so instead of going back in he would just stay on the other side of the road. It was I know they're used to driving like that over there, but for me, who's used to very safe driving, it was a little bit scary. Also zebra crossings, they don't care about zebra crossings over there, so like in England you can kind of just walk across one and you know that cars will stop. Please don't do that over there, because the cars will not stop and they will hit you. Another reason why you need travel insurance. Another thing I found really helpful before I went was the Facebook groups. I joined the Thailand and Bali one, and it's so useful. You can put on any questions that you might have, you can put on the dates that you're going to the programs, and then find people who are also doing the same dates, so you can kind of get to know people before you turn up, because something that I was quite scared of was going into a new country and meeting new people, and my confidence, I lacked quite a lot of confidence before all my trips, so meeting new people kind of scared me a bit, but you can kind of get to know people on the groups, which is really helpful, and kind of like, you just kind of have to throw yourself in there. Don't be afraid to just kind of walk up to a group and be like, hi, I'm new, be my friend. It's because everyone's kind of in the same boat, and a lot of people do go by themselves. Both the friendship groups I was in Thailand and Bali were really lovely, and it was so nice. You just kind of make friends with everybody and kind of talk to everybody, and you meet people and get to know more people when they're doing the same programs as you and stuff, which is really good. So yeah, I know that doing those trips really boosted my confidence, because I kind of just had to force myself to talk to people, which was something I was never really good at, but it did really help with my confidence level, like all my travels did. It really boosted my confidence, and it's nice to see how much I've grown as a person after doing all these different things. So yeah, I would really recommend doing it, because not only is it just good for yourself, and it's good to just kind of get away from your hometown and just kind of puts everything into perspective for you, seeing people who are less fortunate than you and being able to help them. It really does kind of make you think about your own life and how you are and how you act, and yeah, it's definitely made me a much better person and a much more confident person, and I loved my time in Thailand and Bali so much, and I can't thank the people that planned my gap year enough for making my time so special there. If you're thinking about doing the programs I did, or even going to the countries I did, and you have any kind of questions whatsoever about the process, like kind of the pre-travel essentials, any kind of advice you would like, please let me know in the comments below any questions you have. You can always DM me on Instagram, I'll leave my Instagram linked below. And yeah, I posted a lot of photos from my trips on my Instagram, so I'll leave that linked below if you would like to see them. But yeah, I hope you liked this video and I hope you found it informative, and I hoped even if I helped one person out, then I'm very glad. But yeah, I know I found it really useful watching videos about Plan My Gap Year before going on the trip myself, so I just hope this helps some people out. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, leave any questions below, and I will see you in my next video, which will be about my time in Peru with G Adventures. I will see you next week. Bye!